and welcome once again to another episode of the Horizon Roundtable. I am Bob McDonald, and you can find me on Twitter at Bob McDonald. And of course, we have our co-host Jimmy Lemke.
Hi, everybody. Hello.
And Jimmy, of course, is on Twitter at PantherU, and you can follow the podcast on Twitter as well at Horizon RT. And Jimmy, this is actually your first time to be able to do this because this is the first episode of our second annual Fan Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Which due to circumstances beyond our control, became more of a fan fatal four-way because.
Whoa, that's like a Phil joke. You're gonna bust out the wrestling?
I'm gonna. Well, one of us had to today.
Yeah,
I mean, you did break out Stone Cold Steve Austin, for the fall
didn't
forum.
I? Was it? Yeah, I was in the fall. That wasn't technically a battle royale.
That was not technically a battle royale. This is supposed to be supposed to be the Super Bowl of Horizon League fandom right here.
Maybe
which I guess makes sense because now we're down to this is more appropriate, the final four. Of
the ones where everybody's available.
The ones that everybody's available.
The available for.
The available for. Well, congratulations, guys. You made it.
Bob, it's more like a CIT championship game. It's an intimate gathering as opposed to a Super Bowl, which is a all-fan fiesta.
Isn't CIT championship game a bit of like an oxymoron?
Well, yeah, that was Jim Saro, by the way, from representing Green Bay, the only team, incidentally, that's still playing right now. And I say right now because this is the first episode, and technically, and this is coming out this episode comes out this week, which is right in the same week that Green Bay is in the CIT semifinals with Texas Southern. Sadly, Jim, the second episode we're also recording today. We'll just assume that something happened with Green Bay this week. So, but yes, well, welcome aboard, Jim. Obviously,
thanks for having me. Hey, Bob,
you lost.
Yes. I was going to assume we're going to win. And by the way, I was also not going to join today. I was going to go missing, just like the CSU message board.
We'll talk a little bit about. That. Actually, is going to be a topic here. But I want to introduce everybody else. So, we've got some old. We actually have a new face representing Oakland. Anthony, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I've never been able to jump on something like this, so I'm excited about it. And
excited to be here.
All right.
Tell her your name, who you are, how you came to be an Oakland fan.
Yeah, so I'm Anthony Galena. I'm a two-time alum. I was lucky enough to help start the Grizz Gang as a student org in my last year. And so I have, black and gold running through my veins. I was there in 2005 when Duke Monday hit that shot that took us to our first NCAA tournament. I was there live, rushed the courts, and that really launched my fandemonium to where it is today, to where now season ticket holders sitting behind the visiting bench. And if you ever see the games or if you're ever there, I am the guy who flies the flag behind that visiting bench. So
okay.
That was a joke, and somebody dared me to bring in our tailgate flag. I didn't. Everyone loved it. I didn't bring it the next game. Everyone flipped, and now 4 years later, I love doing it, but it's amazing how something so simple like a flag and a pole would mean so much to the fans around me. But it's gonna be
great in like 40 years when you die, and there's gonna be Oakland's, like the Rochester Press is going to have an article. Fan who waved flag for 45 years dies in massive casino orgy. Or whatever, I'm just assuming.
Oh, all right. I see where this day. Excellent. This is exactly what I was looking for. Well, maybe not that, but still.
Let the record show Bob was looking for casino orgy.
No, absolutely not. God, what's wrong with you? All right, so of course we've also got Chad and Ricky. Chad, you want to introduce yourself first?
Yes, I'm Chad Knodel from Milwaukee. former student section leader along with Jimmy, but I was after Jimmy.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell the whole story. We can rant and rave about our fun days later on. So good to be here.
All right. And Ricky.
I'm Ricky Redinger, representing Wright State today, and this is my third time being on here. Excited to be back.
All right.
Ricky, are you talking through a gramophone?
Does it not sound good?
I don't know. Maybe it's just your voice. Who knows?
I'm talking about on my beats. We're trying a new headphone today, so I don't
Okay.
know. If it's bad, let me know.
Well, I tell you what, I used a very nice microphone for that podcast that I did on my own, like right before the tournament,
Yeah.
and I thought the sound quality was terrible. But
It wasn't good.
It was such a nice microphone. So I don't know if it's like the nice, like I have to have like a.
But the funny
like a
part is it
shutdown thing or what?
literally didn't matter because everybody listened to it anyway. That was
Right.
actually Jimmy, your solo one was probably our most popular episode. So
That's because Horizon League fans are masochists.
yes. And we're thankful for you all out there listening right now that are. I mean, we're sorry for your plight, but thanks for listening.
You poor souls.
You poor
Wait a
bastard.
second. This is the Horizon fan forum. Ricky thought it was the American Athletic. Thought he was going to represent Cincinnati today.
Oh no!
It has begun.
Oh man!
You know, my degree choices don't determine my fandom. Okay.
Wait,
Tell that
wait.
to this is true. Tell that to every Cleveland State fan who lies like hell and says they're from Ohio State.
I am currently a student at the University of Cincinnati now.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what you're talking about.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, now that the introduction's over, as was mentioned before, and this is, we'll just get into this right now because a lot of us have originated from message boards around the Horizon League for many years. This is before for all you young whippersnappers out there who are doing their little Snapchat and all that good shit. There used to be message boards. That's right. And there still are. In fact, there are just about every Horizon League team has one, with the exception of IUP. Maybe IUPUI does. I don't know.
And Cleveland State.
I'm getting to that part. Up until Cleveland State. So Cleveland State this week, Tom Muskowski, who's been writing his Cleveland State Hoops blog for ever and ever and ever, he shut down the last Cleveland State message board today. There used to be, for those of you old head Cleveland State people who suffered through the boards on the message boards on Cleveland.com. That's, oh my God, I still have nightmares about that place. To the old Let's Go Vikes message board that and then kind of went into Tom's, and I'm sure Tom was really happy that he had a message board and everybody just had to migrate there because there was no other option. He gave up on it. It's over. You are all homeless now, poor 6 people who on Cleveland State's message boards who are not there. Which brings me to a question. How, in this time, in this era in 2019, how important is it to have that message board now? With the advent of Facebook and social media, how important is that? Is it still a place where it's good to have that forum for fans to come together?
I think, Bob, for the hardcore fans of the league, it's still important because at some level, 140 characters doesn't get the job done when you're really upset about a bad loss or you're really excited about a great recruit.
Isn't it 280 now?
It is 280 now, yes.
Oh,
yeah. Your take is obsolete.
You may have to. Have you upgraded your Twitter app lately?
Bob, I like to keep it short and sweet, so I knew it was 280. I just like to only use 140. If you can't get it done 140, you're not getting it done in 280.
Because you can also thread tweets now too. So
yeah.
I knew that it was 280 because 280 is never enough for me. Because if I say 5 words when I could have said 12. I'm not doing it right.
Yeah, so
It's usually enough for the people that read your tweets, Jimmy.
Yeah, you'd be glad you're not on our message board. I've written several novels worth of things on that board.
yes. Oh, so yeah. I mean that was kind of my. I mean, it's. I don't know, but Cleveland State's in such a weird situation right now. It's just basically last person to leave, turn off the lights. I mean, seriously. I mean, yeah, and not to say that the quality of the message board was all that great either. I think I got yelled off of it multiple times, which is pretty good. That's pretty amazing when I'm the one who's basically catching all the crap now, even though everybody's got the hottest takes on the planet. Like, okay,
I'm gonna be honest about the Cleveland State board. You've
been there.
Yeah, I've been there many times, and many times I turned around and left like almost immediately because I never felt like there wasn't really anything to take. And I'm including the Miskowski. I've been saying his name is Miaskowski my entire life.
Good Lord,
but,
man.
well, I don't know. It's all text. But every time I would go there, and whether it was that one or if it was that Let's Go Vikes thing that was up for a while, you guys just sucked. There's
what do you mean?
There's no value.
You speak as if that's the past tense, man.
There was no value to that message board. You could go on Detroit's message board, and that while I may hate what I'm reading that Kamish is writing, at least I know that there's quality to it and that it's a take. He's Kamish is my Detroit Titans version of Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
I have to read it.
I'm actually sad we couldn't get Kamish onto this, by the way. We're gonna have to get him on a later episode, but I'm actually that guy knows his stuff, man.
Right, absolutely. I mean, the guy is very very good at what he does. Cleveland State's message boards never had a Kamish.
Hey, screw you. That was me, man. Get out of here.
Well, you think.
Oh, wow.
Going to the Cleveland State board is like a first-time John who's not really sure that he wants to pick up the girl. You go in, you lurk, and then you're like, I better get out of here. This isn't right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, from the Oakland standpoint, I oftentimes don't even log in because I'm too busy. I dive into the board about the last game, and honestly, it really does. It's therapeutic. It's my way to log on and to read what other fans are saying after a game or preluding to another game that I don't think I can get anywhere else. And so I still see that there definitely is a need, and then oftentimes when I see people out and about, we reference it, and it's kind of our way to be able to blow off steam or to know that you're not alone in your thinking. So yeah, it's my personal Oakland basketball therapy by logging in and going on to other schools too and reading their perspectives on things. So I definitely enjoy it, and I think it'll be for super fans. I think it's definitely still a platform that we should all appreciate.
And you don't know what you got until you're gone. But if obviously it sounds like, and I can't really necessarily disagree with you on any of those points. Half the time I went to, because I try to stay away. You can't stay away.
I suppose.
Seriously, if you look, to Anthony's point, if you look at some of the game threads, usually it was always, half the time it was just Tom doing game updates.
Right.
That
which
was
is
it.
why I would just do
which
that.
Which is funny because he was also tweeting it out.
Yeah.
So I'm figuring that redundant part of it, he was getting tired of. But then at the end of it is I don't know. The last couple of months, I felt every time I went in there, I came out dumber than I came in. I don't know what the hell happened. It's like this used.
That's like going to a class at Cleveland State University.
You need to have some place where fans, new fans, can congregate.
Yeah.
And kind of get.
But that's the thing. But that's the other thing
message
too.
Boards used to be a really good spot for that, but I feel like with our message board, like the freak message board at UWM, I feel like it's just like a constant like source of just sadness and depression.
It's a circular firing squad is what it's become.
Yeah, it's it's Holic and those guys shooting at us and us shooting at them, and it's
I went on there this morning, and that's why I'm shot out of a cannon now. I'm all pissed off.
Yeah.
Hold on, who pissed you off this morning?
Fran, as usual.
Fran, what did Fran say?
Well, he was shitting on Bruce Pearl this morning or last night.
He's been shitting on Bruce Pearl for a week.
Yeah, I mean, he rants and raves about the current state of the program, which is fine. And then he shits on our most successful coach. So nothing's good for him except for the immaculate son, Rob Jeter, apparently.
I guess.
And mediocrity. But that's a whole
Rob
nother
Jeter
story.
brought you guys to an NCAA tournament.
Twice.
You need to praise him.
Yeah.
He put us on the map. And I mean, I don't give a shit what he did at Tennessee. There's no documented NCAA violations that he had when he was our coach, regardless of whether or not they happened.
Whoa. I mean, no, we reported a
We
few
know of.
secondary. No, hold on. We reported a few secondary violations, but here's the thing. A lot of the stuff that Bruce Pearl pulled when he was at Milwaukee shouldn't have been illegal. And a lot of this stuff isn't illegal now. You know, the having kids over to your house for a barbecue, that's fucking stupid. Making, one of the things that Bruce Pearl would do when he was here, there used to be the phone call rules. You were limited with the amount of phone calls, and then the NCAA would see phone records, and they'd see, that you were, they'd see your phone call records, and they say, okay, well, you called this number too many times for this long. Obviously, you're in violation. That we would report. So what Bruce Pearl would do is after a game, they used to have the post game at Turner Hall across from the Bradley Center. We didn't play the Bradley Center; we played at the Mecca. But like, they'd be at Turner Hall, and he'd grab one of the super fans' cell phones to make a call to a recruit.
Oh Jesus!
Whether it was like an Anthony Pasley you say, oh Jesus, but like, who gives a shit? Like the current rules. He'd be able to use his own cell phone because now there's no limit.
There is no
limit. When they got rid of the rules, I had a conversation with Chad Boudreau and Duffy Conroy, used to be assistants for Jeter, and I was like, well, now isn't this a problem that like kids are going to get just inundated with phone calls constantly from the coaches? And they both are like, no, absolutely not. And I'm like, well, how is that? And Chad made a great point. He said, well, if you call a kid constantly, and you're always in that kid's phone, you're going to annoy the hell out of the kid, and there's no way he's going to come play for you.
Yeah, you never go full telemarketer on them.
Right. He's like you're going to be, you're regulated by how much you want your conversations to be meaningful with the kid. So you're not calling him every day. You're not calling him 5 times a day, 10 times a week. You're not doing that. So the rules were in place to limit something that didn't need to be limited, and that was one of the things that Bruce Pearl would do when he was coach here. And let's not forget, he didn't get blown out of Tennessee because he had kids at his house for a barbecue. He got blown out of Tennessee because he lied to the NCAA about it. Which let's be perfectly fair, the NCAA ain't exactly clean itself, so I don't really give a shit. And any Milwaukee fan, I'll tell you, and Chad's here, I'm not a Bruce Pearl fan.
No, that's true.
I am not. I'm a guy who absolutely wants to build a program the right way. And I was for most of my time there, I've spent with somebody who did everything the right way as a coach, and I saw that he was getting judged for not having the success of the guy that cheated his ass off. And I knew in my fucking soul that was fucking wrong, that he was getting judged on the same level as a guy who just didn't give a fuck about the rules. But let's be clear, a lot of the stuff that a lot of these coaches would do is and get in trouble for is stupid. Like when the kid's on an unofficial visit, you can't feed him a meal. Like, fuck that. That's fucking stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Just like how they used to be limited on how much they could feed their own players. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, those kids are doing 2 full-time jobs. They're full-time athletes and they're full-time students. And well, most of them are full-time students. I don't know how they are at all the other schools. I don't know the other schools. Anthony Hill got me an A in psychology. So
there you go.
That's at least one guy. But like, you know, these kids are full time on this. They don't have time, and they're actually not allowed to get jobs. So if they don't have enough food, the NCAA had a lot of stupid rules, and Bruce Pearl is a guy that flouted the stupid rules, and maybe he might have flouted a couple of the maybe more legitimate rules. I wasn't here for most of them. I came into knowing the term Pearl's Girls very early on as a college student.
Oh my God. Do I even want to know what that is?
We don't need to get into that.
We really don't.
It's nothing illegal. It's nothing illegal. Not even. I don't even think any of that's like NCAA rule illegal.
Probably not. Well,
I mean,
no.
Nobody was directed to do anything. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Jimmy, you and I both know that there's no lack of jersey chasers on the UWM campus. There probably didn't even need to be an organization at that time.
Wow.
I should have lost weight just so that I could pose as one of the basketball players. I would have gotten laid all the time. Then again, I'm 6'7", so
there you go. No, so
I could at least done that.
As we talked about earlier, Jimmy, if you'd have been less time on the message board and more time in the gym.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of the message boards, I do want to say something about Green Bay. When Brian Dickman put together the current board, that Fear the Phoenix board, to me that was a positive change for that message board, for that fan base online, because that previous board was such a sinkhole of shit. I don't know if Jim had ever been on it, but
wait, which board was that? I don't even remember that. I might remember that one.
I think it was like a BB code forum.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was the one that was dominated by shooting the J.
Shooting the J. Whatever happened to that guy?
I don't know.
He was he's anti-Link Darner from what I can tell, or not anti-Link Darner, but he was a big Wardle guy, and once that change happened, he's just not existent anymore. But does
that mean he was a big PMCK guy as well? For those who don't know, PMCK is Coach Todd Kowalczyk.
Oh.
The PMCK acronym is all lowercase. It's the poor man's Coach K. No capitalization, no punctuation. Poor man's Coach K.
And if it wasn't for message boards, we would not have PMCK. So we have to think something good has come from.
Exactly.
I think one of the things on the
message boards.
As I say, on the message board front, I really liked what Anthony had to say for hardcore fans. Like, you go there, it's your sanctuary if that's your thing. But I would challenge everybody that does message boards. Like, the world is Twitter and Instagram and other places. Like, take your material there. If you really want to grow your team's brand, there has to be content. You have to be tweeting and talking about it. And so, for me personally, I'm only doing Twitter, and I don't do a ton, but the idea is to put content out there that other people can reply to. Yeah. And I think that's probably more the wave of the future, even though the message board is a significantly better place to go with a longer message or to see what the other hardcore people are looking at.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's kind of the direction I went years ago, because I'm like, as I was probably on Twitter before probably all of you, because I was on Twitter and starting in 2008, and even when there were maybe 1 million people on Twitter at the time. So I was like, imagine 2009 when Cleveland State makes the tournament, being literally the only person tweeting about it. I'm sure you can probably find those things, but yeah, you're absolutely right, Jim. There's way more people out there that potentially could be fans that would probably never go near a message board to save their lives, that are on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or wherever.
Did anybody else catch Bob McDonald going full hipster there, talking about how he was on Twitter before everybody else?
That's right, I did. Kiss my ass, I was.
I couldn't tell all.
Your fault.
Jimmy, I couldn't tell. All I heard was the crack of a PBR in the background, and I couldn't hear the rest of it.
You opened a PBR in the background?
No, isn't it a hipster thing, like a PBR?
I don't even know.
It's pretty mainstream now.
I was going to say PBR is pretty mainstream, especially in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Not in 2008. Not in 2008.
Okay. Not in 2000. No, 2000. Oh God, what was cool in 2008? I don't know. I couldn't tell me that.
Message
I wasn't,
boards.
so I know that.
Oh Jesus, great.
Bob McDonald joined May 2008.
I did. May 2nd, 2008. Yeah. I was actually working. It's funny, I was actually working in a web design place at the time, and we were thinking of things to do with that, and I'm like, okay, so I'll go ahead and do this. I'll go ahead and join this. I'm like, it can't be too bad. So there's like, yeah, but honestly, given the hipster community in Cleveland, yeah, that's where I was kind of at that point in time. I have since transitioned into grumpy old guy, so there you go.
Hey, grumpy old guy, you joined in May of 2008, and then when did you rejoin? Because I thought you had a self-imposed Twitter ban for a while.
That lasted I actually got off in May 2018, and then for reasons, I don't know why the hell I got back on. It lasted like a month and a half, and then I got back on. I'm like, God, I'm such an idiot.
Hey, I had a non-self-imposed Twitter ban.
Oh yes, Jimmy. That still remains the weirdest thing ever. So
I figured out what it was.
What happened? Okay, so Panther U, the Panther U Twitter account. What was it? It was last year, right? That got they got like shadow banned or some crazy shit like that. So what happened exactly?
So I had a few like programs that had access to my Twitter account so that I could post, because I've got several Twitter accounts. I have Panther U, I have Jimmy Lemke, I've got one for gaming, the video game that I play a lot, and I have one for I have like a Bucks Twitter account that is
Gary Wolfel.
Yeah.
Wait, Gary Wolfel?
So there's a writer for the Racine Journal Times named Gary Wolfel, and he's like the Bucks insider, is like what they call him on like sports talk radio around here, because he comes on to 105.7 or Sports 1250 AM. It's the same station. He goes on there. They call him the Bucks insider. He's basically the biggest douchebag in the world.
Big time.
He's like 55, 60 years old. He should have retired 20 fucking years ago. His takes are bad. He breaks news stories about the Bucks that like get proven wrong almost immediately. At the beginning of this season, he put out a tweet there. He's like, sources are telling me that the Bucks and Bulls are gonna play at the Fiserv Forum on this date. And immediately everybody's like, that's been unannounced on the schedule for 4 months. What sources are you talking about? Like the Bucks team website? And the funny thing is, like, he used to be like a legit journalist. He was a legit sports writer, and he worked for the Racine Journal Times, which is a smaller paper than the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, obviously. And this guy would literally not be able. Like he was better than everybody the Journal Sentinel had at covering the Bucks, and over time he just started sucking terribly, and he basically became enamored with Jabari Parker, and everybody's pretty sure that the reason he became enamored with Jabari Parker was because Jabari and Jabari's quote unquote people would talk to him. And that they were always his sources, because you could always see the stories he was breaking were quite obviously like from Jabari Parker's camp. And even if they were fake, like he would report them. And he's just Bucks fans hate the guy. So I started like his last name is spelled Woelfel. I made an account for Gary Wolfel, Woeful. There's a couple of them out there. The Bucks fans just had a tournament of Twitter accounts, and I lost in the first round to the guy who ended up winning the whole thing. But it was just Like they would put a vote up. Like I'm pretty new to it, the Gary Wolfel thing. But
better luck next year, Jimmy. Better luck next
hopefully
year.
there's not a lot of Bucks fans on here that like listen to this, because I've kind of like tried to keep that somewhat anonymous.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Would you say that the real Gary's takes are best served for the UWM Panther Freak board at this point in time?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I put it this way: like when through the UWM Post and Panther U, I had a far higher, success percentage on, hitting my shots at like breaking news and stuff than Gary Wolfel has ever had on the Bucks. Like, and he's a legit like sports writer for a legit paper, and he's been reporting just bullshit. Like, and like now, like what he'll do is he'll just like constantly like subtweet Bucks fans and like talk about like how the Bucks are shit, which is fucking hilarious because the Bucks are quite obviously not shit right now.
No.
Yeah, so it's something that I've been doing a little bit and just messing with him, but.
So was that the reason
Yeah.
So is that the reason behind the ban of the temporary ban of pay-per-view?
I'm sorry, didn't mean to get on a 5-minute like tire. It's what I do.
I know.
I have.
If you've been listening to this podcast for any more time, it's almost expected, Jimmy.
Yeah. Just to bring this to a fast close as fast as possible. I have a program that allows me to tweet from several programs that allow me to tweet from several accounts. And one of the programs that I had required that I allow it to post like an ad for it, like every like 2 weeks or something like that. And Twitter didn't like that.
Really?
That like it was posting like a promotional tweet and not being like Twitter didn't like that. They like banned my account, and then.
But the funny thing is, what's funny is they only banned Panther U. I know they didn't ban Jimmy Lemke. They did ban Panther U.
The promo tweets had to come from. I had to pick. It had to come from my account with the most followers, which is Panther.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, so that makes sense. All right, so that's always fun. Ricky, you don't have any message board stories, do you?
When I first started following Wright State, it's the Raider Roundball site. I got on there and I made an account, and then I realized that every guy on there was at least like 45 years old. And
you are underestimating that considerably. Oh my God, yeah.
And it was like. They were all talking about like the old days when they were like D2, and I was just like, this is awful. And by that point, Twitter was pretty heavily around, and that was just where I got my conversation. So I get on Raider Roundball every now and then, but it's like there's 3 guys that post, and they like are just talking amongst themselves, and so
what's interesting. What's weird because I know Wright State. I know Raider Roundball. I've been on Raider Roundball. I've known about Raider Roundball for forever, but I know Big D still has his Raider message board up too.
I don't think I've ever found that one.
Raider Nation.
Raider Nation, yeah.
By far the better of the two. By far.
Rightstate.proboards.com.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff. It's the same. It's Pro Boards, so it's just like the Panther board is just like Fear the Phoenix. Like
it's like what Cleveland State was, yeah. But that's the same. I think everybody just kind of migrated from because I've been on Raider Roundball lately, and you're absolutely right. There's only like a handful of people who actually like post on there anymore. Most of the people, a lot of the it's way more active over at the Raider Nation. So I think everybody's kind of moved over to that.
I don't know how long you guys have been on the message boards. I mean, I'm a little younger, but Raider Roundball's been around for a really long time, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yes, decades.
Yeah.
Which is
probably since the late 90s.
Yeah. Which is really funny because Raider Nation's been around for at least a decade.
Yeah, Raider Roundball, I know for sure has been around since at least I discovered Raider Roundball in 2001. So
Here.
it looked like it was.
If you're on the general board for Raider Nation, the rightstate.proboards.com, their earliest post on the general board was November 8th, 2004.
Wow. Yeah.
Rumor has it Eastern Kentucky manhandled us in a closed scrimmage this past weekend. Anybody have any details? Yeah, Paul Biancardi sucks.
Don't tell him that.
Was he the coach then in 2004?
Yeah, in 2004,
that would have been his very first year. Yeah.
Yeah, because he came in. Yeah, because he was. Was it that? Yeah, because I thought he came in 2003. Same time.
2003, 2004 season.
Yeah.
So this would have been his second season.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Biancardi came in the same time as Mike Garland did for Cleveland State, and naturally neither of them are there anymore because neither of them were that.
If he had only gotten 2 more wins, he was 14-14, then 15-15, and then his last year was 13-15.
Well, Biancardi wasn't fired because of his record, though. He was fired because of the Ohio State recruit.
Yeah.
Right.
He got dinged hard for that.
Cut ties with him. Yeah, Ohio State, I don't think was going to fire him.
No.
But the NCAA kind of forced their hand.
Yeah, that was all about that. Yeah,
because it was almost perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
It's interesting, Ricky. As I say, think about it, Ricky, as a Wright State fan, how perfect that ended up working out for you guys. If you land Brad Brunell, that goes to Billy Donlin. I mean, think if you could have missed one of those guys, your program just toils in mediocrity for a while. Instead, you have the perfect storm.
And you had Deshaun Woods was a Biancardi recruit. You had Todd Brown that was kind of a Biancardi recruit, and then Brunell finished the job. I mean, a lot of guys from that tournament team in 2007 were Paul Biancardi guys that Brad Brunell got to coach. So absolutely a good alignment there.
Yeah. So
hey, Ricky, who brought in Vaughn Duggins?
That would have been. I'm trying to think. That would have been Biancardi, I think.
To your point, that another great player that's a great coach to have to work with.
Well, Vaughn Duggins was only there for about 10 years, so it had to be the guy before Biancardi.
There's always that one guy who seemed like he'd been there forever.
I had to look it up. Vaughn Duggins was a Biancardi recruit.
Okay. So now Ricky, now that you've discovered the other Wright State board, which is more active and apparently not. I know some. I've actually met some of the guys from Raider Roundball. Road Trip's one of them. Terry Bogan. I gotta get him on the show. That guy's awesome.
He's still pretty active on Facebook. I don't see him too much more on Twitter, but he still posts on Facebook pretty often.
Yeah, I've seen him periodically. So
Terry and I bonded over having terrible athletic directors.
Yeah. So,
hey, Ricky. Now that you know where Raider Nation is, just pretend that you don't. Your life will be way happier. You seem like a happy guy as it is.
So.
Well, I feel like though I'm talking to myself a lot, or I'm getting shit on by other Horizon League schools because I'll tweet about Wright State and I'll get no responses, or it'll be UD fans that are just "Oh, Wright State sucks." I never actually get good conversation pieces.
That's one of the things. So I feel like the school itself, whoever handles the Wright State Twitter account, periodically needs to throw a retweet or a comment at something. They have the followers. So other people need to know it's cool to talk about these teams and these sports.
Right.
It's almost
definitely talking to myself a lot.
It's like Jimmy dating in college by himself.
Yeah, really. That's just how it is. That's how message boards are. A lot of it's you're talking to yourself, especially when you're a Cleveland State fan.
Oh God. Yeah, that's pretty much how. Yeah, well, I can't really argue that. I mean, either you're speaking to the wind or you're speaking. Well, it doesn't matter now. It's over. Yeah, I keep the what's funny is that when I found out because of course John Durda tweeted it out and tags me on everything about this sort of crap. So he's like, he tweeted at Tom about the message board being gone. I'm like, all right, it's gone. Are you surprised? I'm not. And then of course he turns around and then says, I guess the only hope is that maybe I can get it together and put a message board together. And I'm like, dude, not you. Jimmy, know why, too.
Can I say something, too? I have become the unofficial representative for any Northern Kentucky fan account that wants to talk shit to Wright State. Like, they don't tag anybody. Like, it's just they come right to me. And so I've become the unofficial punching bag for Northern Kentucky fans.
We probably have to take responsibility for that, Ricky, because you've been on the show so many times.
Right. There's nobody else to go after. They're like, we must find someone, and then it's me. Which of course my bio is lacrosse coach, football coach, and then they start talking shit about the high schools I work at, and I'm like, damn, guys.
Okay.
Ricky, a lot of that is some of Jimmy's other Twitter handles that he didn't talk about.
I'm like Brian Colangelo. I'm just making shit up.
So, if you get one from @burner account, that's really just Jimmy. Okay.
I've got a couple parody accounts.
Jeez.
I wish I feel like it shouldn't be me, but somebody should have done one for Amanda a long time ago.
But somebody did one already? Are you saying that there's one that exists, a fake Amanda?
No, I'm saying there should be one.
Yeah. There's some guy on Twitter @Skylar Quisenberry who's always tweeting at Amanda. I don't know who that is, though.
Skylar Quisenberry.
That's gonna never die now. You know that,
reference the last two podcasts for
Skylar Quisenberry. Yes, do that. So Anthony, by the way, now that you're one of the new folks, you will now officially get an egregious amount of hate pointed in your direction. Sorry about that. That's on us.
Hey, that's all right. That's what I'm signing up for. So it's all good.
Good. Yeah. All right. So he knew what he signed up for.
Bob, you know full well that Matt is going to get all of that crap, and he deserves it. He loves it. He thrives on it.
Anthony, tell everyone that your handle's Grizz Talk OU.
That way, Chad can block you right away.
Right. Exactly.
That's true.
Hey,
I still can't believe that's still going on, but that's it is what it is, man.
Bob, I think one of the unfortunate parts for you guys with the CSU board, and whether it was another circular firing squad or not, your team is really not that far away from being from being good again. Like, I look at some of those young guys, Debaji Walker as a good example, and Rashad Williams. Like, you guys aren't that far from getting out of the abyss. Well, and it's unfortunate you don't have a place to go to talk about it.
Well, the thing is, it's like that's all I ever hear. It's like, I mean, that's that freaking they're young narrative. That's all I ever heard in the damn message board. Like, okay, awesome, they're young. I got it. I got it 40 posts ago. You freaking assholes! Stop it! Like a bubble of buffoonery. It was a bubble of buffoonery. I immediately regret it. I actually jumped back on there. I kind of disavowed myself from that from the board for a long time, for years, like 2 or 3 years, and then I jumped back on there like at the end of last year, beginning of this year. I immediately regretted it. It's like, okay, first of all, most of these folks are following me on Twitter anyway, so whoop-de-doo. Second of all, it didn't stop being the bubble of buffoonery I left 3 years ago. So, okay, boo. I'm not that, but yeah, I mean the whole they're young narrative. I'm like, dude, okay, wonderful, yeah, they're better, but so will every. But we'll actually get into that in the second half of this. But yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, okay, wonderful, get a new. I mean, and I'm like, it's.
No, and I can see where reading that every day would be super annoying, but as somebody cruising in there once a week, their team is about to be really good in my opinion. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but yeah, it's like I replied to it because Phil made mention of it, and I was like, I saw the responses. He told me I saw the responses to yours. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Like, okay, I must have not seen all the responses because I made a conscious decision to bail like about 3 days before Tom actually shut it down. So that was fun. So so with that. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and close out this first part of the fan battle royale, gentlemen. Of course, sit tight. We'll get started here for the second half, but and of course, those of you listening, this will be coming up next week. But as always, you can find episodes of the Horizon Roundtable on sportshax.com, sportshax.com, and you can find us on wherever you find podcasts. Open up your Amazon Echo or Google Home devices, and you can find us there too. So gentlemen, we'll be talking to you again next week, next episode, and thank you for listening.